Fixing Mythology, Part 1, Story 1, the story of Loki's redemption. This is the story of how the Mischief Maker and his children escaped the Ragnarok. Part 1, Anemone. Not long after the gods of the Aesir had bound his son Fenrir with magic, Loki had been acting unusually pensive. Thor assumed he was plotting something, but in reality he was simply reflecting on the nature of things. As he paced the wood near the great bark trunk of Yggdrasil, he simply couldn't shake a pesky thought, or was it a feeling, that was scratching at his brain. Suddenly Ratatoskr, the messenger squirrel, skittered up the trunk and addressed him. "You have been summoned," he spake in a high-pitched canter. "What is it now?" said Loki. "The king of the fairy folk requests an audience with you in Elfheim," he said quickly. "Oberon requests my counsel? Well, it's about time someone values my opinion. Do you know what this is in regards to?" he asked. "He said it was urgent, but there is little gossip I don't know. Even after he had dismissed me, I heard him mention something about your children. These long ears are good for something, you know," Ratatoskr said. "Thank you, noble rat," said Loki teasingly. Loki headed out across the Bifrost to the land of the light elves and fairy folk. He rarely visited this realm, because for beings of light, the looks that they greeted him with were none too kind. His presence alone seemed to fill the little creatures with fear, even when he smiled and comported himself kindly. He wondered which of his children had angered Oberon and how. It had to be Hel, or Jormungandr, with Fenrir bound up. When he reached the crystal quartz palace, sparks of light danced around in great mandala patterns all about, and the gates opened. Inside the palace, a single white ember glowed with a golden aura that expanded to the size of a small man. This glowing light then settled into the form of the fairy king Oberon. Oberon was extremely beautiful for a man. In the place of a crown, golden antlers grew from his head. His skin glistened, and his full brows, pointed ears, cherry lips, and boyish face marked him as an immortal, even more so, perhaps, than the multiple sets of wings upon his back. "Thank you for coming so promptly," he said. Upon closer inspection, Loki noticed that Oberon's usual perfection was marked with worry. He couldn't even perceive it as being marred by it, though. Somehow it only served to make him more attractive, more real somehow. "What's wrong?" asked Loki. "My eldest daughter, Anemone, has fallen gravely ill. We could find no cure in all the realms. Titania has journeyed to the well of Mimir, and by weeping the tears of a heartbroken mother into the well, she has summoned his spirit. It gave us the recipe for a potion, along with a warning." "I would advise you to take the words of the dead with a grain of salt," Loki said. "This is serious. He said there is a way to save her, but if we do it, it would mean breaking the wheel of time and setting you and your children loose on the universe. This is not a prospect that appeals to me, but we can't bear to watch her suffer any more," he said. "What can I do to help?" asked Loki, licking his lips. "The potion requires 3 things. 1 from each of your illegitimate children, a hair from Fenrir's wolf, the laughter of Hel, and the tongue of Jormungandr," said Oberon. "Oh, is that all?" said Loki. "I know it sounds like a lot, but it means your survival. Isn't that worth it?" Loki had an instant, painful, psychic flash of how it ends each time, his face melting with venom, his children murdered and trapped in a time loop forever. "If we help you, will you help us escape our fates?" Loki asked. "It is my solemn oath," Oberon said. "I'll see what I can do," said Loki, looking down. Oberon braced him by the arms. "She has less than a week to live," he said, locking his gaze. "Please, from one father to another." End of part 1.